Hello and happy Halloween season. Some of you might know me as Scott Marcus, the ghost hunter and ghost storyteller. Most of you might know me as Scott Marcus, the guy who is the senior content manager, manages the YouTube channel, makes a whole bunch of videos for the International Screenwriters Association. One thing both of those have in common is it's all about storytelling and celebrating storytellers, which I have so much fun doing. And if there's two things I nerd out about, and there's a lot more than two, it's filmmaking and ghost storytelling. And part of that actually I get to do with one of my best friends, Max Tim, who works with the ISA as the director of education. We have a podcast, the Fantastic Story Society, where we just talk about all kinds of different ways you can tell stories and doing it well. But I'll talk about more of that at the end. I am combining both of those, filmmaking and ghost storytelling, finding haunted locations, to talk about my top 10 haunted filming locations in Los Angeles. What does it take to be on this list? Basically both of those, and have them in spades. A place that is famously known as a place where a lot of iconic movies have been shot, but then also be famously known as a place with a lot of really interesting ghost stories. And so we're gonna go through them really fast, really quick, one per day. And though I have my list written, maybe it's not set in stone. If you have locations that you passionately think should be on this list, leave comments. Kicking it off at number 10 is a place that I think is one of the most amazing and beautiful and overlooked locations in all of Greater Los Angeles. And I am talking about Greater Los Angeles, not the city proper. And that is Mountain View Mausoleum and Cemetery, but specifically the mausoleum in Altadena, California. This location is being used more and more lately as a filming location. Iconically, if we are going to be talking about horror storytelling, we're going to mention American Horror Story, and this is a location where Lady Gaga went in American Horror Story Hotel looking for Rudolph Valentino's grave. Of course, Valentino is buried at Hollywood Forever Cemetery, not at Mountain View Mausoleum, but still, that was the location that was used. It's been used in a lot of period piece productions recently, including HBO Max's, now just Max, I guess, Perry Mason. Netflix's Hollywood is another example of that. The TV show Lucifer, which shoots at a lot of interesting locations, they actually transformed it into a library. The 2014 comedy Behaving Badly, the James Wood series Shark, NCIS and CIS crime scene investigation episodes shot here, an episode of Ray Donovan, and the 2022 star-studded crime caper Amsterdam with Margot Robbie, Christian Bale, Anna Taylor-Joy, Chris Rock, and even Taylor Swift in that cast. They shot here and around Pasadena. Perhaps most strangely, the music video for Happy from For Hell was shot at this location. And though they didn't actually shoot here, the huge Amazon smash hit from just last year, Fallout, they recreated portions of it for some interior scenes that were supposed to take place, ironically, again, at Hollywood Forever Cemetery. But they definitely were finding inspiration from Mountain View Mausoleum. And they're so film friendly that there's an empty grave with steel walls on each side so that actors could easily get in and out if there's a funeral scene. American Horror Story used it, Promising Young Woman, Pretty Little Liars, and 6 Feet Under all used the same exact gravesite. To me, the production that stands out the most, because you really do see it a lot, is Curb Your Enthusiasm. There's a surprising amount of memorial services or wakes and funerals. They shoot on the grounds and in the building quite a bit. There's even more iconic comedies that have had memorials or funerals here, and this includes the gravesite to Michael Scott's fascination with the office chair model in The Office, and it was Susan's gravesite after she was poisoned by cheap envelopes in Seinfeld.
We'll leave you alone with her.
What?
I'm sure there are things you'd like to say.
No, I'm good.
So again, getting to the ghost stories now. And this one, maybe this is why it ranks a little bit lower on this list, even though it has a good pedigree of productions, especially recent ones. It's not very widely known as a haunted location. However, stories are beginning to come out, including from productions that are shooting there. Separately, there's a ghost hunting group, the Supernatural Investigation Unit, based out of the Pasadena area. While on site, they have heard disembodied voices, and they were actually even involved with an interview, and they noticed somebody wearing a top hat and a suit that was kind of just observing quietly off in the distance, only to find out that this is kind of a caretaker ghost that many people have seen, especially staff throughout the building. And I personally have shot here. I worked on a web series back in the day when we were trying to figure out how to make money with video and film on the internet. There's a web series called Aiden Effects, which was a younger, maybe a tween targeted action series. Unfortunately, it's hard to find now, but it was a lot of fun to work on. But this was a place that when we were shooting here, I couldn't wait to come back on my day off to just explore this building on my own. It is huge. It is beautiful. It is cavernous. There is hidden symbolism all over the place. So if you're somebody who's into things like the Da Vinci Code, where you're finding meaning or symbolism in things, this is a place for you because there, again, it is just such a beautiful place. And once you feel like you've seen it all, you'll take another turn, go down a different corridor, and find yourself in a whole new wing of the building. It's definitely an exciting place to explore. I highly recommend it. And it's open to the public, so it's nothing that you have to sneak around or snoop around for. They definitely encourage people to come and visit their beautiful location. So when I came back, I actually brought Max from the ISA, and we were walking around the building, and I just was showing him because I thought he would appreciate the location. And kind of something that I do, well, I'm not really much of a ghost hunter type, but I've got some of the toys, and I thought, well, as long as I'm here walking around, I'll bring some of the gadgets and see what happens. And I got one of the most interesting things I've ever gotten, I would say, which was on an EMF detector. Now, EMF stands for electromagnetic fields, and this detects unseen energy fields. Measurable, natural, very explainable. There's practical use for these too, but in the ghost hunting world, we think that maybe a spirit would have some sort of an energy signature that is measurable. As we were walking around this beautiful, huge building, the device kept spiking every so often. I couldn't get it to happen again. If you can cross the same area more than once and it keeps going off, that means there's probably a wire under the floor or in the wall, something along those lines. But I couldn't repeat it. So I just didn't know what was going on. And then finally I asked, hey, if somebody's here with us, can you just let me know by putting some energy, putting some focus into this device I'm holding in my hand? And rather than get a big spike, which would have been dramatic and amazing, even more interestingly, the needle bounced around like a heartbeat. Fortunately, I did get it on camera, so you can see for yourself. And feel free to see at the very end, there's a link over to Max and I checking this place out years and years and years ago. Segueing back to Max, yes, we have so much fun talking to storytellers. There's a million different ways to tell a good story. It could be a book, it could be a movie, a TV show. Heck, maybe you can't even tell the story unless you have a pair of dice, because we've talked to board game designers and creators as well. I'm so proud of the shows that we do with the Fantastic Stories Society, and part of the reason is that we don't have a schedule. We put an episode out when we have something interesting to say or an interesting person to talk to. We don't have to satisfy any advertisers. Wouldn't mind making some money on it, but in the meantime, we are just putting out really, really strong content, if I do say so myself. Some recent favorites, John Ronson, who wrote the book, The Men Who Stare at Ghosts. He's written a number of amazing books. David Ferrier, who created the Netflix series Dark Tourism. And I really enjoyed our chat with Jason Woliner, who is most known for being the director of Borat 2, but he also created an incredible miniseries last year for Peacock called Paul T. Goldman, which I still recommend anybody watch. But check it out anywhere podcasts are found, Fantastic Story Society. And finally, on every episode, I want to give a credit and thanks to two people who have been influential in my life in this exact respect, and that is Richard Carradine, who ran Ghost Hunters of Urban Los Angeles, Gula. He's also written a number of books, including books about the ghost stories associated with Disneyland. Though he's not posting new content, his website is still active and is a great archive. If anybody is interested in Los Angeles folklore, I will leave a link. Also, Lindsay Blake, who was a member of the Fantastic Story Society, she created the website IamNotAstalker.com, which is all about stalking your favorite filming locations. And so I certainly have been walking the walk and finding a lot of these stories and locations on my own, but I'm telling you, Richard Carradine and Lindsay Blake have been extraordinarily influential, and I can't overstate how great they've been. And I definitely would urge anybody interested in these topics to go check out their sites. Don't forget to tune in tomorrow to see number 9 on Los Angeles' most haunted filming locations.